Tansei, Tatawao, hello, welcome back. I'm Sipaku Waskatawiwin, Blue Lightning, and I'm here today with part 7 of my, CREE heritage, cosmic views, spiritual beliefs, some of the legends, ways of life of my Neowin Neowak people. Thank you for joining me here once again. So today I would like to talk about or continue on with some of the, I guess, other versions of beings out there. Some of them, some people might say they were hybrid beings in the ancient times. And that's where I'll start off with is kind of back with the ancient day stuff and the legends of that time and what I was told. And I was told that there were, in the ancient times, like in our Turtle Island, there was not only like different human species, but also there was half animal, half humanoid species. So like you'd say like hybrids. But these people were naturally they were naturally evolved out here as well. And Kinipek Napuyu Snake Man was one of them. And Atomos Nipe Atomos water dogs, believe it or not. But that was those are lizard people, and they had, there was many different encounters. Sometimes it was just quick little sightings to actually seeing groups of them along the rivers when I speak about lizard people. There's other stories of trade amongst them. So they did have uh, like different kind of odd crystals and rocks and gems that they would trade, and they'd be very interested in the hides and what we'd wear, and in terms of necklaces and our tools, and they were very interested in all that type of trade. So they were a species that was more or less it took a while to build trust with them, and there was like a big it was more like a spiritual people back then were, like I said, were very connected with the earth and the natural world. So it was just like they had an easier time of making that connection happen, like in terms of communication and understanding of each other. So with that being said, another thing I heard was there were people who were actually very connected to the hybrids, that that they were descendants of them, to the point where that they left behind their animalistic ways and transformed into the people they are today. Some of the tribes that they are today. Iroquois was were the Snake Brothers, from an ancient bloodline, from I should say from a period of ancient civilizations, and they had the ability. A lot of them, when they were able to reach their spiritual development and attunement, they would actually be able to transform into snakes or lizard people or beings, and or they were very gifted with that guardian's blessings, I should say, and understood things in the natural world that were quite different than what a lot of us knew, because that's just the way the universe works. Is we're not meant to know it all. We're not meant to know it all. We're meant to just appreciate and understand what was meant to be for us, like in what we learn in that sense, like from the universe and the way it's gifted to us. And so, with that being said, there was a lot of gifted individuals out there. Like I said, the gifted ones that were able to transform, and because they were inherently descendants of the animal kingdom or animal kingdom people. Like, because I should say that there are many different animal kingdoms and tribes and people at the time. Another thing I heard too was that there was a nefarious version of these reptilian beings, and these ones were they're where like at first it was thought that they were from here, but because like the way it was told in the stories was they would come up from the underground, so they would always like they think like at first it was like they came, but later on it was discovered that they weren't from here because the natural guardians didn't even want them here. And I'll tell you, this story is in the ancient days, the tribes would be out in certain areas near mountains or in prairies, like and because the buffalo hunts and the different types of seasons would bring us to these certain areas, as aforementioned in previous installments of the series. So when we're out in these areas and we're hunting, and we'd spend weeks there if the hunting area was good, right, or months, depending on how well it was for our time or the people there. And all the men would be hunting in the woods, and young men too as well. And the women would be back at the camps, and they'd be doing preparations, different things, and working on different stuff. And then while we're out there, there was a story where reptilians were coming up from the ground in UFOs, but they were just flying them out of the ground, like they were just like anamorphous state, like they were just like it was just, there was no state, like they had no like solid state. It was just kind of like they just came through and landed, and they were grabbing women and taking them into the ship, and there was like a lot of stories about how they were coming up and trying to take more people like that. And eventually the warriors were all gathered, and they ended up they had some fights with them as they would come up from the underground, like in their ships, and eventually they were losing these battles. A lot of people were being taken, and so they had to ask the spirit world, like, what do we do? Like, we need help, and so like they're being told like these people are being taken in the underground and they're being used, like they're making their own type of people with them. And then they're saying the Thunderbird was very angered by this because these beings weren't from here, and it was a big ordeal, to the point where the Thunderbird was like the next time they came, the Thunderbird was gonna chase them away, or make sure they never come back up, or scare them enough to the point where they wouldn't want to come near that area or the tribe again, kind of deal. And that's what ended up happening. Was they ended up coming up, and Thunderbird ended up flying out of the sky with the thunder and lightning, and as the warriors are all chanting, and chased all the reptilians back under the ground into their dwellings in the inner earth, as told. And there's a lot of different beings that lived in the inner earth, and a lot of people, and a lot of different people that that came from the inner earth and then evolved to what, like, everyday people on the surface of Turtle Island. I'll talk a little bit more about the inner earth stuff later in other installments. But yeah, it was said that the reptilians were very their skin was very tough, like it had a thick layer, almost like a very thick like armor, like a hide armor or shield, and a lot of them were pale for being under the ground, very cold. When they would ended up killing them, they were very cold to the touch, and smelt very bad, they said. And it was like how should I say it? There were other tales like of them, and it was like the warriors would chase them down into these places, or sometimes like because they'd open a portal, and a lot of there was a few warriors that chased them into there, and they wouldn't come back, and the portal wouldn't open again. You know, and there are a lot of people that were like, you know, that draw where they entered in or into that part of the cave or the rock or whatever, the side of the mountain. Well, not draw, but like carve something in the, or they use uh, red ochre and a little bit of ash and resin to make it last forever. But yeah, there's those reptilians, and some say they're still around or down there, and uh, they've come from a different place, another planet. Um, they did have a few wars out here in our system in the ancient times, and out in the other parts of our Milky Way galaxy, other star systems. There's other various versions of them. And they also have, well, now that they have hybrids of us, they also have that ability now, because they have that ability to do shapeshift, and because they have variations of us from all over the world, apparently. And they had to grab new versions of all the people on the surface, because like in the ancient times there was a lot of different skin colors that were in existence, like you know, like purple, blue, orange, and light kind of like aqua green, different skin types like that, and yeah, it was like you know, and the humans evolved differently over time. So yeah, that was like what I was told a little bit about. Well, a little bit about what I was told about the ancient reptilians and their underground world, and like what they did with people. And there was a few other stories too about like how they had like because they had UFOs, so they had a lot of different technologies and stuff underneath the ground, like earthquake technologies, and then also too they'd have a lot of portal, because they do portals, right? So not only did they open portals for like to travel around, but they also brought in a lot of their dark dark spirits and dark entities like that they use to manipulate and continue to create destruction or distortion, trying to reverse the energy of what is good. And that's like one of the things is like there's no evil in this world, in this universe. It's all just to reverse. They just reverse that energy, you know. So it's like you know, to undo it is a whole nother story in itself. But and I'll share a little bit more about that on the astral plane. Like I have a few stories about where we went in and actually had to go in that spiritual dimensional plane and like clear some of those structures and things that they left behind, and kind of what they were using as like strong points or strongholds, and yeah, to manipulate the world in through the spiritual realm. But it would be like it would affect the area in the physical realm. But yeah, I think that's all I really wanted to share for now on the subject of them. I do have more stories on it, and yeah, a lot more legends and things like that. But as for now, I'll leave that as the video. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and the next one we'll see here, part 8, when I'll get around to it, and yeah, I'll talk a little bit about like inner Earth and astral travel and all that kind of deeper inner spiritual connection, and so we'll go with that next time, and yeah, that sounds like a good plan for that, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for subscribing and liking my videos and checking them out. I'll see you guys around. Thanks.